The mainstream media and the Democrats are melting down over a joke that President Trump told today. So the Prime Minister from Japan was here for a diplomatic visit, and along with her was this small pool of Japanese reporters. Well, one of the reporters asked President Trump, "Why didn't you tell your allies about this surprise attack on Iran? Why didn't you tell us in Japan about the surprise attack?" And, well, this is how President Trump chose to respond.
Too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard. And we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, no, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us. And we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise, right? Okay, one more.
Now, obviously, the point that President Trump was making is that the whole point of a surprise attack is for it to be a surprise attack. You don't want to telegraph to the rest of the world what you're about to do, or else it undermines your military strategy. It just cuts against everything you're trying to achieve. So, no, President Trump wasn't making fun of dead Americans. He wasn't making fun at the tragedy of Pearl Harbor. Heck, he wasn't even making fun of the Japanese. He wasn't making fun of the nuclear bombs or the U.S. response to what happened. He was just saying, hey, look, this is a little ironic. You're asking me about secrecy. You guys were once all about secrecy. You guys should understand this from a historical context. And so that's all he was trying to say here, but the media, the Democrats, they're just taking it out of context. Even Jake Tapper on CNN was trying to fact check this. It is clearly a joke, but Jake Tapper wrote on X, "For what it's worth, Prime Minister Takaichi was born 20 years after Pearl Harbor." Jake, that joke doesn't need a fact check. That is the whole purpose of a joke. It's to exaggerate a point that's being made. Now, look, the Democrats, the media, of course, they're going to melt down. Had President Trump been stuffy, had he been a typical politician and just given, a more prettied up answer, they still would have found a way to criticize him. And look, things are bad for the Democrats and the media when even Mehdi Hasan can admit that President Trump was being funny here. Again, on X, Mehdi Hasan wrote this: "I'm sorry, but this is legit hilarious. If only he wasn't the president and just a character on TV. We could laugh our heads off without any sense of unease, dread, or embarrassment." And of course, the media has been running with this all day. They've been printing negative headlines, negative stories ever since this happened. This is just one example from Raw Story. "He's mentally unhinged. Trump hit with disgust as tasteless Japan comment flops." Now, part of what the media is leaving out is President Trump's own personal relationship with Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi. Yeah, this meeting wasn't the first time he's met her. This isn't the first time he's ever spoken with her. In fact, it was Prime Minister Takaichi who nominated President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize last year. And they spoke then. According to the New York Post, Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi on Tuesday informed President Trump that she nominated him for next year's Nobel Peace Prize, joining a growing list of world leaders. A White House official told the Post that Takaichi privately told the president she nominated him and presented him with the papers in a surprise move certain to please the commander-in-chief. And as you see here, they were photographed together. So no, this wasn't the first time they joked. Because they have a personal relationship, I wouldn't be surprised if President Trump felt comfortable, if he figured, hey, she can handle this, she knows we're just making fun, this isn't going to ruin our diplomatic relationship at all. And in fact, during the meeting at the Oval Office today, Prime Minister Takaichi said this.
でも私は、世界の、繁栄とそして、平和に、貢献できる、世界中に、平和と繁栄をもたらせるのはドナルドだけだと思っています。
But even against such backdrop, I firmly believe that it is only you, Donald, who can achieve peace across the world.
そのために私は、諸外国に働きかけて、しっかりと応援をしたいと思っています。
And to do so, I am ready to reach out to many of the partners in the international community to achieve our objective together.
今日私はそれを伝えに来ました。
So today I came here at the White House to directly convey this message to you.
And don't forget, it was just last week when President Trump was speaking to the troops and Prime Minister Takaichi was there with him, and he invited her to the podium to give a few remarks, which she did. So the media isn't covering that at all. They're not covering their tight relationship. They're not covering the praise, the lavish praise that she poured on President Trump. And on top of that, you heard it said there that she is reaching out to allies to help motivate them, to help encourage them to participate in taking back control of the Strait of Hormuz. And look, if this relationship between the United States and Japan was really that fraught, then why is Japan the only non-NATO country that is currently helping the United States right now? So this broke earlier today from the UK government, joint statement from the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Japan on the Strait of Hormuz. Here, 6 countries, again, 5 from NATO. Japan's the only one not part of NATO, saying, hey, we are going to help you secure the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that oil is flowing out again. I mean, is that really the kind of joint statement that's going to be put out there if NATO is against President Trump, if Japan is against President Trump and just offended by everything he's doing? Of course, the media, the Democrats, they're acting as if President Trump strong-armed NATO into this. They're all shocked. How could they possibly be supporting what President Trump is doing in Iran? How could they possibly be lending any support to secure the Strait of Hormuz? But if they actually paid attention to what the chief of NATO said just yesterday, none of this should be a surprise to them.
Of the ballistic missiles, of the nuclear capability is severely degraded. When it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, I've been in contact with many allies. We all agree, of course, that strait has to open up again. And what I know is that allies are working together, discussing how to do that. What is the best way to do it? They're working on that collectively to find a way forward.
I mean, yeah, the American-based media completely missed that story. They've been shouting from the rooftops all week, oh, President Trump has alienated our allies. He's pushed them away. No one wants to help us. The U.S. is all alone in Iran. Why isn't anyone coming to our aid? And then all of a sudden, this breaks this morning, and they're acting as if, oh, President Trump must have strong-armed them. What in the world did he do to get them to change their mind? And it's like, no, if you actually listened to what the chief of NATO and all these other world leaders have been saying, you would know that these narratives aren't true at all. In fact, it is so sad. Just think of this. Al Jazeera is more honest than the American mainstream media right now. I never thought I would say that, but take a look at this headline from Al Jazeera and just think of it. Does Al Jazeera have America's best interest at heart? Who do you think Al Jazeera represents more? This is one of their headlines, though. The U.S.-Israeli strategy against Iran is working. Here is why. Al Jazeera isn't American propaganda. They don't exist to stroke President Trump's ego or to boost the administration in any way. I would argue that they represent the values and the priorities of the Middle East. And so it's interesting to see how American media, mainstream media, is portraying this war. Oh, it's terrible. It's causing fractures within MAGA. It's going poorly. It's such a disaster. And then you take a look at what's being published over in the Middle East, and Al Jazeera is saying, oh, their strategy is working. It's really bad for Iran. I mean, let's just take a closer look at this article right here. Every aspect of Iran's ability to project regional power is being successfully degraded. Again, this isn't coming from, unless people are claiming that Al Jazeera is somehow controlled by the CIA, it's not as if this is Operation Mockingbird. I mean, just think about it. What possible benefit could Al Jazeera possibly have in running that headline if it isn't true? And look, if Democrats want to be upset at a joke, if they want to be upset at President Trump invoking Pearl Harbor, maybe they should look at themselves first. But before we get into that, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. They are Kevin Ichi Combs, Swal Chan, McTrim, Young Smith, Jeremy 2001 Happy, and Sky Ari. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. Now, the Democrats, the media, they have not only been running hit pieces on this, they have been fact-checking it. Obviously, there was that post from Jake Tapper, but it wasn't just him. This is one of the many memes now going viral. Fact check, Pearl Harbor is not a punchline. Allies deserve respect, not ridicule. Again, the context they're leaving out here is President Trump wasn't making fun of Pearl Harbor. He wasn't making fun of dead Americans. He wasn't making fun of the U.S. response, which, was very big, which still to this day haunts and scars Japan. No, it wasn't undermining any of that at all. What he was pointing out was the irony of someone, a Japanese reporter, asking about secrecy when you consider the historical context here. And was it edgy? Was it maybe a little borderline? Yeah, but that's President President Trump. That's nothing new. That's not breaking news to Americans, and it's certainly not breaking news to the rest of the world. Yes, by this point, foreign leaders know who they're dealing with when it comes to President Trump. So I just don't see why people are taking such offense to it personally. Like, is it a joke I would have made? No. But do I think President Trump has ruined or damaged our relationship with Japan? No, I don't. Do I think that he crossed a moral or ethically bad boundary here? No, I don't. So I don't see where this level of outrage and anger is coming from. Where the Democrats should really be angry is the fact that their own leadership has actually undermined, has actually reduced the historical tragedies of 9/11 and Pearl Harbor by comparing it to January 6th. I mean, have the Democrats already forgotten what their latest standard bearer just said?
Not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
Okay, got it. So the Democrats, they are 100% okay with comparing two foreign attacks on American soil, which killed thousands of Americans, to a peaceful protest that turned violent because of agitators, as well as a lack of police presence, which President Trump, by the way, wanted at the rally, and Democrats like Nancy Pelosi denied. Yeah, these things, they're 100% on the same page. To me, comparing Pearl Harbor and 9/11 to January 6th is a worse insult than President Trump invoking Pearl Harbor to prove a point about the irony of the question at hand. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what did you think about the joke? Was it funny? Did you not find it funny? Appropriate? Inappropriate? Edgy? Not edgy? Let me know down in the comments below. Again, it's not a joke that I personally would have made, but I don't think it's a reason to be as outraged as the Democrats and the media are behaving right now. Look, President Trump has always been edgy. It's part of who he is. It's part of why his hardcore supporters love him. And at this point, every world leader should know what they're dealing with. So I don't think this, I mean, you just take a look at what Prime Minister Takaichi said. You take a look at Japan standing with our NATO allies, and it appears, at least on the surface, that no damage has been done. And in fact, Japan is rising up right now to stand with the United States. So I just don't see the cause for all this outrage. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash the subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.